In the outer rim of the Andromeda Galaxy, far beyond the reach of Earth's most powerful telescopes, there exists a world. It is here that you will find the ruins of an alien city. Crumbling towers pierce the bruised sky, monuments to a long-lost age. Here among these silent stones sleeps a power so terrible it can shatter entire worlds. For this is the graveyard of Zaryoni. But let us tell you a tale of a time before the Great Dying, back when the world was young and the starlight shone bright on the cities that floated in the skies. The Zaryoni were beings of pure light. Cities drifted across their world like clouds, held aloft by living crystals that pulsed with energy drawn from the heart of their sun. The Zaryoni had no need for weapons or conquest. They were a race of scholars and explorers, ever curious about the universe and all it might hold. It had been thousands of cycles since they'd waged war, since they'd even considered waging war. But peace never lasts forever. Not even in a galaxy far, far away. One day, the very fabric of the cosmos was rent to two colossal black holes, each the size of a small star, collided in the distant darkness. This cataclysm unleashed a shockwave of energy unlike anything the universe had ever seen, tearing through the very core of Zaryoni. In an instant, most of their world was destroyed. The survivors fled, huddling in the last remaining sky city, desperately firing up generation ships to escape the dying world. Each vessel was loaded with the memories and history of their doomed civilization, preserved within a single supercharged crystal. Then they drifted into eternal sleep. For millennia, their ships wandered the void, adrift on currents of time and space, until at last one of them, just one, crash-landed on a newly terraformed moon, orbiting a gas giant. The being inside the pod stirred. She was beautiful, her skin the color of moonlight, her eyes twin galaxies swirling with ancient light. She emerged from the wreckage, blinking against the cold, unfamiliar stars. Her name was Aevi, and she was the last princess of Zaryoni, carrier of its last memory, crystal. When she awoke, her home was gone, vaporized into dust. The crystal still pulsed with the knowledge and dreams of her people. Determined to rebuild her shattered world, she left the safety of the forest moon, venturing into the wild unknown. The surface of this world was harsh and unforgiving, a frozen wasteland of ice and rock. But to Aevi, it was also new and full of possibility. As she journeyed across the barren landscape, she discovered remnants of her people, buried deep in the ice. There were towers of shimmering crystal, perfectly preserved from eons past, each containing fragments of Zaryoni technology. There were ancient data pads lying half-buried in snowdrifts, their circuitry frosted but not broken, filled with messages encoded in Zaryoni's light. And finally, she found others. At first, they were only whispers, rumors, around flickering campfires of a mysterious being who walked the wastelands alone. A being who seemed to know things that were not supposed to be known. Then she began to see them, other beings who had awoken like her, each carrying a piece of the crystal, each holding a fragment of Zaryoni history. Some were wary, hiding in the shadows of towering ice formations, too afraid to trust anything that moved. Others, though, were emboldened by their numbers, and together they built a new colony in the shadow of a massive crater. Here they lived for many years, safe from the prying eyes of the outside world. Yet even in this sanctuary, danger lurked. You see, long before the dawn of recorded history, an empire arose among the frozen wastes, an empire of iron and fire. It was called the Valkyrie Dominion, and it thrived on conquest. The Valkyrie were tall and muscular, their skin a patchwork of scars, each marking a victory in their endless wars. They had dominion over 1,000 worlds, yet none had challenged them. None had even dared to resist. That was until now. The Valkyrie Dominion had sensed the return of Zaryoni's unique energy signature. The sudden appearance of a people who knew things that they were not supposed to know. The Emperor Varkos the Unchained feared what the Zaryoni could become again, what they could do if left unchecked. And so he assembled his greatest generals, preparing for war. News of the coming storm reached Aevi and her people, and fear began to grip their hearts. Some wanted to flee, to abandon their hard-won sanctuary and wander the frozen wasteland once more. But others stood firm. Among them was a young warrior named Kiran. His parents had perished in the Great Dying, but he had awoken with the spirit of Zaryoni burning bright within him. He argued that they should stand their ground, that they should fight for their home, for their very survival. In the end, it was Aevi who settled the debate. She knew her people had survived for eons by seeking knowledge, by exploring the mysteries of the universe. But now it was time to embrace another aspect of their heritage, the strength that lay dormant beneath their gentle exteriors. As the Varkari army approached, Aevi and her people prepared for battle. But it was not to be a battle of steel and fire, but of light itself. From the depths of their sanctuary, they raised the crystal to the sky. As one, they focused their minds, drawing on the powers, reaching back through millennia to harness the knowledge of their ancestors. And then they struck. Energy erupted from the crystal, lancing toward the Varkari like 1,000 burning suns. It was a display of power the universe had not seen in eons, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the Before the war machines of the Varkar could even unsling their first arrow, the crystal's light had stripped them of their armor, their weapons, their very strength. Emperor Varkos watched in horror as his invincible army withered before the Zaryon's unearthly power. Defeated and demoralized, the Varkari fled, abandoning their siege and leaving the frozen wastes as quickly as they'd arrived. In the aftermath, Aevi and her people surveyed the damage to their sanctuary, the structures that had been smashed and burned by the Varkari war machines. But as they began to repair the damage, something remarkable happened. Hope bloomed in their hearts, a hope that had been dormant for centuries. They were no longer the scattered remnants of a shattered civilization. They were Zaryoni reborn. And so began the second age of Zaryoni, not as a kingdom of floating cities, not as the dream weavers of old, but as a force that would change the galaxy once more. For the Zaryoni had learned much during their long slumber. They had learned that true power lay not just in knowledge or diplomacy, but in balance, in embracing all aspects of themselves, in harnessing both the light and the dark. Under Aevi's leadership, they flourished, rebuilding their lives and forging new alliances with races across the galaxy. Still, they remained cautious, knowing that the Varkari dominion might return. And indeed, the scars of war ran deep. Some Zaryoni never forgot the horrors they had witnessed, the friends they had lost. Even Aevi, though a leader of unmatched wisdom and compassion, bore the weight of her people's past, haunted by visions of the Great Dying. But as the centuries passed, the memory of the Varkari siege faded, and with it, the fear. The Zaryoni rebuilt their world, not as it once was, but as something stronger, something more resilient. They learned to channel their grief and anger, to turn it into fuel for their growth and understanding. And so they thrived. Yet even as they thrived, they never forgot the lessons of the past. They kept watch on the galaxy, ready to defend their hard-won peace. For the Zaryoni knew that true power lay not in conquest or domination, but in balance, in harmony with the universe and all its wonders. And so the tale of the Zaryoni serves as a reminder to us all that even in the darkest of times, hope can endure. And that even in the face of unimaginable loss, life, knowledge, and love can prevail.